Hey everyone, welcome back to another What's Inside episode of the Lego Arduino Elegoo kit. And so in this episode, which is going to be episode 13, I'm going to be your host, William. Josh is having some personal issues that he's dealing with, and he's expected to come back this next calendar year. So this episode, we're going to be diving into this very interesting piece. It's called the power supply module. And what this piece is, it basically regulates the voltage that it receives from other components. For example, you might be receiving volts from a range of 6.5 volts to 9 volts. And what this piece does is that it will tone it down to around 3.3 to 5 volts. And so you might use this piece for your breadboard. This is going to be regulating the power. Maybe you are including LEDs, sensors, microcontrollers in your piece, your machine. And this is going to ensure that each component of the piece will receive the right amount of voltage, no more, no less. So this is just a quick rundown, a quick summary of what this piece actually does. And in the next segment of the video, we're going to be diving into a more in-depth analysis of this piece. I'm going to cover the function. I'm going to cover what you can use this piece more in depth for. And yeah, let's hop into the next section.
Hey everyone, welcome to the next segment of the video. We have the power supply module right here, and as you can see, I've left it in the foam still, and yeah, it's just this in its entirety. So like I mentioned earlier, this is the you see like this black component right here. This is where it intakes the input voltage of 6.5 to 9 volts, and then as you can see by these white prongs over here, this is where it's going to output the necessary voltage for your other components. So what is this module exactly? I mean, yeah, it's the power supply, but in simpler terms, think of this as your mini power station for breadboards. So what it does, like I said, it converts a higher DC voltage, like from a 9 volt battery or a wall adapter, into a more stable 5 volts or 3.3 volts outputs, which are the two most common voltages for microcontrollers and sensors. So like I mentioned with the input volts, you might receive it via a barrel right here. This is the black component, or you might receive it via a USB. And it's compatible with a standard NB 102 breadboard. There is also an LED that lights up whenever it is powered. Maybe we can go into a next video, another season, where we see this in action. But currently, yeah. So when it's powered, you'll see the light. And also there's going to be dual rails, which are independent left and right breadboard voltage controls, like these progs that I said earlier in this segment. So there's a lot of components on this piece, as you can see. So quick component rundown: we have the barrel, we have the USB, we have the voltage select jumpers, which are just these things in the middle. We also have the pins, which are just these right here. As you can see, there's 8 prongs. And we also have this very cool switch here, this button, where if you press, it will turn it on and off. So like I said, the main function of this piece is that the board uses voltage regulators, which are just small components that ensure that your circuit always receives a constant voltage, even when the input power fluctuates. And this is important because you want to maintain a stable connection between components. If you have a unstable where the voltage does fluctuate, that would not be ideal because your power, your communication between the components will be disrupted. So we also have like the regulators in this piece. So they are usually just the AMS 1117 chips, which they handle the conversion more efficiently and safely. We also have these built-in capacitors, just right here, and they smooth out the ripples in the voltage, ensuring that your Arduino or your ICs don't crash due to unstable power. And it's basically like having an automatic translator between your power source and your circuit, and it makes sure that everyone speaks the same voltage language. So if you were wondering how to connect this piece to a breadboard, so first you would insert the module or whatever you may have onto the power rails, or just right here, so it fits pretty snugly on the top. Then you want to connect your DC barrel plug right here, or your USB for power. Then you want to set each jumper. They're usually labeled at 5 volts or 3.3 volts to your desired voltage output. Then verify that the LEDs are lighting up. This will indicate that your thing is powered. And then finally connect your Arduino's VIN or 5 volts pin to the appropriate rail. So obviously I can go on and on about all these different aspects of this very interesting piece, like just a test setup, even a coding example, some safety and troubleshooting, tech insight, etc., etc. But that would honestly take hours and hours. And since we obviously don't have that type of time here, unfortunately, I will have to cut this video short. But if you guys have any remaining questions, please let me know down below, or any feedback. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something from this episode of the Lego Elegoo Arduino kit power supply module. And yeah, so remember to stay curious, guys, because that's what's inside.